To recap the previous episode, we established an emergency center complete with a disaster response unit with ground and air police and fire departments. We also established our level 5 farming, which will be redesigned as soon as we have available game tiles to unlock. We also created our sewage waste facility mixed with garbage management and a few geothermal power plants blended in together quite nicely. We also started to populate and design our canal, complete with trolley buses. And the current state of the game is we are at 94% traffic flow at about 14,000 population with no major city alerts other than delayed garbage accumulation. And according to our city demands, the Sims really want to move in. They want to live here, and I can't blame them because I definitely have high hopes for this series. If you're having difficulty with traffic and other city management issues while growing a city, if you're looking for game tips and inspiration for your builds, then this series may be what you're looking for. Greetings, fellow mayors, and welcome back to Noyou Port City, a narrative gameplay experience. First, let's slightly redo the block closest to the canal by rezoning them as low-rise commercial buildings. Let us not forget to add walking paths to the quays so we can have the Sims overlooking the river. We already have 2 blocks thick of high-density residential, and having a third row does not seem to be necessary. I am looking for a step-ladder skyline look from the river going inland, and I also want to feature the new Mr. Mason trees along the river. If everything was high-rise, then we will not be able to appreciate the new trees from a bird's eye view. And of course, let us not forget to add our favorite city park fence in line with the trees. There are 2 types of mayors or city builders, those that respect topography and those who do not. Yet neither playstyle is wrong. It is just about preference, much like there are vanilla and modded players. There are players who play with unlimited money, lightly modded, heavy to light Steam assets, etc. Either way, it is a playstyle preference. And regarding topography, I would sculpt the landscape as I deem necessary, such as lowering the coastlines to have an appropriate height for a ferry stop. I also feel that if you do not mow the landscape to better fit your build, then you are losing the opportunity to create something great. You only build once or at least a few times on the same map, so as much as possible, try to build it as best as possible. Speaking of which, we just completely demolished all roads and commercial zoning on the upper level, and here we will establish our very first main transportation line, which will be trains. And we will also need to provide a reason to visit the train station, and I will use my favorite unique building, which is the Grand Mall. And I always place this structure at a side angle, so from the train station, you can see the balcony and garden area of the mall. The train station is to transport Sims from tile to tile, while we are going to use buses as our within district mode of transportation. Ladies and gentle mayors, this city's primary mode of transportation will be above ground metro and trains and the use of buses. For many years, trams have ruled the within district transportation, but with the new Vehicles of the World content creator pack, we now have multiple bus options with various vehicle capacities. And there are also many bus stop options to choose from. Noyou Port City will make buses great again. After observing the roads that connect the upper and lower levels, it doesn't seem right. The keys go in an awkward angle, and if I don't bring it down, it looks like this, which is not close to even being better. And also on the lower level, you have this slope, which also does not seem right. And that is when I realized that we can use the new European 2-lane stone bridge from the Bridges and Piers content creator pack. And of course, we will redo the other bridges at some point. But at least now we have a much better option, or perhaps the best practice, to connecting upper and lower levels divided by quays. We currently have about 15,000 population, and we need about 3,000 more residents to reach the next milestone that will unlock a new game tile and crematoriums. To reach 18,000 population, we will continue to zone high density residential in order to maximize population growth in a cluster district. There is a slight slope in these blocks which will cause cracks on the earth on the edges of our zone buildings, so we will try something new by adding quays on these slopes to counter the earth cracks. We could also opt to just plant trees, but I want to experiment using quays in this particular situation. Closer to the train station and the Grand Mall, there are more noise pollution. Therefore, we will zone local and organic produce commercial buildings, which will blend well together in the area. And it will also attract more Sims to visit our mall when the train station is activated. And on the outskirts, or lower to the or closer to the quay that goes to the lower level, we will continue to zone high density residential. For the meantime, there are only two ways to enter this district, and that is from the avenue or from the canal using the European 2-lane stone bridge. But eventually we will expand this area further across the highway. Since from the avenue or collector road is the closest means to enter the district, it makes sense that there is significant traffic in this area. We will just remove the traffic lights to help ease the vehicle flow until we can properly expand and provide more alternative means to enter this Grand Mall district. Okay, let's start creating our train track that will just cross the canal. And for the meantime, we will not build further, but at least we know what direction it is going, and more importantly, we have started to set up our transportation network throughout the city. Just 1,500 more population to go, and we will reach the 8,000 population milestone. The only two other things that the city needs to become self-sustaining is a crematorium, which will be unlocked in the next milestone, and the city also needs higher education. Before starting a campus, I always begin with a few generic universities. When about 3 universities are filled in with students is when I create a campus, then delete the generic universities, and it will cause all the students to transfer to the new campus. As a result, we would be able to upgrade the campus easily and quickly. Wait, what? I recorded at least 45 minutes in that time lapse, and I was able to squeeze all of that in under 8 minutes with voiceovers. But let me know if you guys enjoyed the quick time lapses with commentary, but more importantly, can everyone follow what just happened in the last 8 minutes? I always worry that I go a little too fast. And with that said, let's take a closer look at what we have accomplished. So the levels are divided by a key, which I think is really neat, especially when you see Sims moving up and down the levels. And we also use the European 2-lane stone bridge for vehicles to travel up and down. And we also have this really cool bridge to drive under. And of course, we continued our canal theme by having a line of coconut trees with the city fence. And this combination makes for a really cozy drive along the canal. And we haven't even populated the other side of the river yet. Some of the buildings have leveled up and grown taller than I wanted. So I went ahead and made the first block closest to the canal historical so they would not grow any further. I don't really want huge tall buildings along my canal. On the second level of our Grand Mall district that comes with our first train station in the city, and it also has an intercity bus station where regular buses can use this facility as a bus stop. See, it is important to establish your network connection throughout your city. I mean, it's so easy to get excited and just expand, but then forget to create that really important network to reduce the traffic in the long run. So this is what I did, and I'm showing you guys how I manage traffic early before it becomes a problem. Offline, I went ahead and updated the other roads to bridges to connect the upper and lower levels, which will now be the standard method to connect them together. I also added crematoriums right beside our cemeteries, and that should sustain the city for at least another 10,000 population growth. This ends today's episode, so until then, if you are kind enough to support the channel, feel free to subscribe, comment, and like. This is Captain Obvious, and I thank you for being a part of the 4th journey on creating Noyou Port City. You all take care, and I'll see you in the next video.